So hello everyone, my name is Dr. Hussain Ali John and I'm currently a prosthodontics resident at a college in Maharashtra. So I have seen this trend recently that a lot of colleges and hospitals are pushing their faculty and students, uh, they're pushing them to actually do the research and publish it. So that's why I wanted to make this video, which could clarify a few things because I have been in the same situation and I believe I can contribute something that may be valuable to you. So again, let me preface this by saying that I have written a number of articles. You can find the link to my Google Scholar or other profiles down in the description for reference. And I've written most of them are literature reviews. There is one systematic review in which which I'm a co-author. There is one commentary article and an original article as well. So again, this is a subjective take. These are my opinions and what I've experienced in the process of actually writing an article, publishing an article, and how and the things that I have learned basically. So let me start off by asking a simple question. What is a research article? So research article is a piece of academic text based on scientific data. It is written in a certain accepted way under certain headings, which may be flexible, and it follows a number of guidelines. All of which I know it sounds complicated, but even though this will be a little bit of a longer video, please bear with me. I'll try to explain everything in as much detail as I could. So the next heading is types of articles. What are the types of articles that there are? So there is the literature review, there is the systematic review, there are original articles which may be case report, case series, or short-term, long-term studies like analytical studies, observational studies, all of which is, even though not in the scope of this video to explain it in extreme detail, I'll brief about it. So literature review is basically, you have a topic in mind, then you search articles for it on different search engines. Different search engines can be PubMed, Scopus, Web of Science. You can just go onto the website and search in keywords. Keywords are basically certain words that are pertaining or relevant to your article. For example, if I'm making a review article, if I am writing a review article on forensic odontology, then I will type forensic odontology, or I will type forensic dentistry. Then I will get a number of articles. Then I'll open those articles, read what is in them, and based on the knowledge, I will make a piece of a text which is somewhat expansive, but it is compiling the information that is in all of these articles. Basically writing information from all of these articles in a structured format, like a big essay, but reference to all the data that I have found in these articles. That is a literature review. What is a systematic review now? In a systematic review, you usually refer to original studies. So you have a topic which, let's say you have a topic on implant dentistry, and you want to check key, let me think of an example right now. You want to check the primary, what affects the primary stability of implants doing a certain procedure. Now again, you will type those keywords. You will look for studies that are in the literature. By literature, I mean in these search indexes, PubMed, Scopus, or whatever. And there will be these articles which are published in different journals. I will get to what is a journal. Then you will look all these articles and you will have a certain criteria key, which articles you want to include in your study, which you do not want to include in your study. And eventually, in a systematic review, you will write you will write in a table key what different authors have said about this particular topic. You will make a table, and that is basically what is a systematic review. Systematically sorting what different authors have said about a specific topic. Now coming to the next type of article are the original articles. This is a broad term. It can be a case report or a case series. Right? Like I have a case report published on median rhomboid lossitis, which is a very simple article. So basically, it is what you are observing in a patient. You're observing, okay, a 65-year-old female or a male came to your clinic or OPD or a tertiary care center, whatever there is. You're writing down what are the demographic details of the patient, what was the diagnosis, how you investigated it, and how you treated it. Now, treatment part should be included usually, but if it's a long-term follow-up page, if it's a treatment that is going on long-term and you currently have not included it, it may still get published, like I did with my one of my articles. So that is a case report, and when you do a number of similar cases, you can compile it up and make a case series of it. That is one of the original articles there is. Then there is randomized controlled trials. There are different types of clinical trials, and original studies is basically very expansive. Another simple study that students do is a questionnaire-based study where you make a Google form, based on certain guidelines, of course, and then you give it to the population that you have targeted, and eventually they fill the form. You get a certain number of answers depending on the sample. Now, if you have like 500 people in your sample and you have collected 500 people responses, eventually you can write that article and in a certain way, and then you can give it for publication. I will put a hierarchy of which type of study is considered a higher. So there is a hierarchy chart, a triangle, which study is given more credibility and which is not too much. So, and one of the important thing is, if you are working on patients, if you are doing an original study and if you are working on human subjects, you will need proper consent and ethical approval. Even if you're doing animal studies, you will need an ethical approval. This ethical approval needs to be written in a certain way again and submitted to your ethical committee. Let's say you're working in a college or a hospital, there will be an ethics committee that will check your synopsis or a summary of the things that you have written, that you are going to do in the patient, and then they will review it if it's ethical or not. They will judge it based on certain guidelines that have been established internationally. Right. So the next heading is why to publish. I think it's in the title of this video, key why you should publish, where you should publish, and how you should publish. So the why of it is the number one main thing that people will tell you is a sexy term like publish or perish. So what does it mean? So publish or perish basically means ki now in the world of academia, you need certain number of publications to eventually get increments and rise up the ranks in an institution or in your particular field. That's when you'll be considered an expert in it, and eventually you will be considered for upgradation, for a post, or maybe salary. So that's why it's called publish or perish. And if you do not publish, you will be down the pecking order, at least in academia. That is basically it. Then another thing why you should publish is contribute to the scientific literature and share the knowledge. You don't want to probably do not want to gatekeep your knowledge. And let's say you've invented a new procedure of sorts and you're writing about it, and you also would want to what other practitioners in maybe in another country to replicate your study, and that would be such a great thing, sharing the knowledge. Another thing is clout and credibility, of course. Let's say you have a technique or something that has your name on it, then eventually it will be used by someone else and he'll cite your article, and eventually you'll rise up the pecking order, give you some clout, and you'll be considered a more credible researcher or a practitioner as well. The next thing why you should publish is quota. So there may be quota in your course or a degree ki you should publish one article or a number of articles, or to stay at a certain level like a professor or whatever, you need to publish a certain number of articles. So if you have a quota, you need to publish. It's as simple as that. So where you are going to publish these articles. Let's say you've written this article, where you are going to publish. So publications are done in a scientific journal. What is a journal? A journal is basically, okay, now the journals can be offline or online. Now they are both. A journal is basically, now I'll simplify it. It's like a database where it contains many articles. Some journals specify in certain things. Some journals are very general. Some do not accept literature reviews. Some accept only certain types of research. It's a very broad thing. So journal is a database which harbors all these articles. That's the most simple explanation I believe I can give right now. So, how where you should where can you find these journals? You can either Google them, but that would be a very futile way, I believe. So there is a website called Shimago. In Shimago, you can put certain parameters. Okay, I want to publish an article in dentistry. Okay, in dentistry there are certain specialities. Let's say prosthodontics. What are the prosthodontics journals there are? So it will give you a list of journals. So, okay, I want to publish in India. So, in dentistry, in prosthodontics, in India, these are the journals that there are. So, then you can make a list of these journals and then eventually shortlist them even further. And how you should decide a journal, that is the next heading. So, how you should decide a journal. So, the first thing you should check if the journal is good, if you should check is if the journal is predatory or not. So there are a lot of journals that just want your money and they probably are not indexed also. These are called predatory journals. Stay away from them, because even though sometimes they might take your money in article processing fees, and they may not even publish your article. So just beware of them. If it's not a really popular journal and a lot of credible people have not published in that journal, please stay away from it. It'll just waste your time and money. So the next thing you should look when deciding a journal is its indexing. So indexing is in search engines. Like I previously mentioned, there is PubMed, there is Scopus, and there is Web of Science. These three search engines are considered really at a high level. By that I mean is these are really credible search engines, and if your article is published in it, it's a really great thing. So these search engines are really credible because they usually index those journals that have a good impact factor, or they publish articles by scrutinizing them really well. So let's say a journal is PubMed indexed or Scopus indexed. It usually means, not always, but it usually means that journal has a really good scrutinizing process. If you're giving an article for publication in these journals, they'll actually review your article really well. If you've written it in a particular format, if you do not have any mistakes, they'll check your plagiarism. They'll check if you've written it with AI. So all these things would be checked. If your article is really good to publish in their journal, that is the main thing. Then only they'll publish. And because of this credibility, because of this proper review process, over time, these journals eventually get indexed in these PubMed, Scopus, or Web of Science. Yes. The next thing you should check is APC, or APC is article processing fees. Now, journals can either publish your article for free, or either they can ask for a certain amount of fees. Now, there is no standard thing ki the better the journal, the higher the fees it will charge. There is no such thing. There are certain journals which are incredible, they're great, they publish it for free. But there are also journals which are not that great, but they charge a high amount of fees. So first check if it's a predatory journal or not. Then maybe go to Shimago and check if there is a particular specialty journal you want to publish it in. Then when you have shortlisted those journals, go to the journal's website. Almost all journals have their website, and check in the section where they have given guidelines for authors or something related to it. They will have a section of article processing fees. So it may be free or it may be not. So if it's free, then great. If it's not free, then you should consider finances, how much you're willing to pay to get your article published. So that is one thing you need to consider. And another thing is, not all journals do this, but they give a time frame key. We will give the first response in like 10 days, 15 days, 30 days. So you also need to keep in time key in this amount of, okay, I need to publish my article in 2 months time, but this journal is going to reply to me in like 4 months, 5 months. Then there is no point in publishing that in that particular journal, right? So you need to weigh your options and you need to think about all such things before choosing a particular journal. I know it's getting tedious. It is a tedious process, but it is what it is. So when you write a journal, you eventually give it for publication. The reviewers are sent an email about okay, there's an article that needs to be reviewed, then they take their time to review, and you are at the uh, merit of the reviewers. When they will eventually review, then you will get a response. It sounds very bad, right? You are contributing something to the scientific literature, and sometimes you are the one paying it, and you are the one waiting for it, but that is how it works. I'm sorry, but it's the whole process. My first article that was published took like 1.5 years to get the final response. So that's how it goes. So that brings me to the next heading, is how to write an article. This is a whole big thing in itself. So I have this small analogy. Okay, so the article that you're gonna write is gonna be your painting. Let's say you're Picasso, and that painting is your article. And publishing is actually displaying that painting in a particular gallery, which is another task in itself. So let's get to making the painting first, writing your article. So it can be complicated and frustrating initially, but we're here to learn, right? So let's get into it. So before writing an article, you must look at the guidelines of the journal. After you have written a decent amount of articles, a certain type of article, you may not need to look into it, but initially you need to. You see the guidelines of the journal, how they want the article to be written, what will be the contents of the article, what are the type of referencing they want, how do they want their figures to be. It's getting complicated? Wait. So contents is basically the headings. So when you go to these journal ka website na, they will have these templates. We usually have these templates. A literature review, we have a template for this. It's supposed to be written in a certain way. If you have an original article, it is supposed to be written in a certain way. So you can have those templates as a reference, but I have a better tip for it. Go to the particular, after you shortlisted the journal, go to that journal and look for an article that is similar to yours, that is a similar study to you, and look at how they have written that article. Download it if it's free, or just if it's free, it's great. Look into that article and write those headings, and just copy those headings, or write similar headings in your own article. Then eventually we can get into writing more and refining it more. Referencing. What is referencing? So when you're writing an article, even though you're not copying but taking information from other resources, let's say in a literature review, and you are referencing it in a curly bracket or a square bracket, whatever, superscripting it or whatever the journal wants, and you're writing 1, 2, 3 in the order that is in your article, then the last heading in your article is going to be references. References are in different styles. So the most accepted style, I would say the most popular style, is the Vancouver writing style. There are Harvard style. There are different kinds of referencing style. So a tip for referencing is, let's say you found a good article. Let's say you found an article on dental implants. Copy the name of that article, go to Google Scholar and type the name of the article as it is. Press enter. Then when the article is, you can see, okay, this is the article that I found out. Below that is cite option, CITE. Click on that, and then it will give all these referencing styles. You can just copy it and again paste it in the referencing style of your referencing heading of your article, instead of actually learning how to, okay, Vancouver style is written like this, Harvard is written like this. You can just do that. Google Scholar does that for you. Figures is basically images, tables, or charts. That is figures. Some journals want them to be uploaded separately, some in the article, some along with the article also. So again, we'll get that into publishing. Again, see the type of article in the journal and make according to it. That is the tip that I gave. And abstract. Abstract is basically the summary of your article. If you just open an article now, you will see initially there is abstract written. Abstract is basically the summary. So abstract can be structured or it can be non-structured. A structured abstract is basically background, methodology, a few subheadings. A non-structured abstract is just a paragraph written. again, it contains the headings, but it does not specifically say ki, okay, I've written methodology here, background here, etc. So that is a very brief thing about it. The next thing is submitting an article. Again, displaying your painting in an art gallery. So let's say you made an article and now you want to publish it in a journal. You decided the journal, you made the article. Now comes the publishing. So go to the journal, click on submit. Now it will direct you to their own submitting portal if they have an in-house portal, or they have outsourced it to a third party. Now in the instructions for author on the journal's website, they must have written the things that they want. The usual things that they want is the first page and covering letter. The format they will provide in some of the heading, they will provide that in the website. They will provide a template. You just need to search for it properly. Another thing that may ask is the title page. Again, they will give you the template. And of course, your article file. Also, they might ask you to upload figures. Figures is, like I said, images, tables or charts. So figures, they might have certain specifications for it. They might need it in a specific file format like JPEG, PDF or PNG, whatever, and they might want it in a particular size. So usually these four things that the journals is what they ask. First page plus covering letter, the title page, figures, and the article file. Sometimes the first page and covering letter may include the article file as well. Okay, so a few tips that I have is when you're giving it for publishing, don't send your article in multiple journals, because then there are chances that you might get blacklisted from those particular journals and you might not be able to publish. That is a very bad thing and no one should do it. And only submit an article in a journal if you can pay the article processing fees, if there is any, because if you don't, they'll constantly pester you via emails or something, you have not paid these fees, and why do it unnecessarily, right? And if you go to these journals website now, they might have a fee waiver depending on a lot of things. If you come from a third world country, or if you come from an academic institution where you just need to go to the website and check if you qualify for a fee waiver. If you qualify for a fee waiver, you might need to pay less article processing fees or sometimes no processing fees. Do check into that. So the next heading is article specific things that I want to mention. So literature review, like I mentioned, is a big piece of text. A case report is patient details plus images pre-op, post-op. Then you need to label them properly also. A systematic review, a big table of what the different authors have said about a particular thing. And sometimes you also need to mention if you've registered your systematic review or not in a certain directory. Clinical trial, again, you need to register your clinical trial, get an ethical clearance, and if you're working on patients now, you need to give your sample size ka justification. So what is your sample size? Sample size is the number of subjects you're working on, maybe an in vitro thing or an in vivo thing. You need to justify how many samples you are taking. So in vitro study, you're working not on patients, but you need to justify how many samples of a particular thing you're taking. Or if you're doing on patients, an in vivo study it's called, so you need to justify how many patients you're going to work on. So here you need help of a statistician. So you need to find a statistician and tell him, okay, this is my study, this is what I'm going to do, this is my parent article, this is the main article that I'm referring, and I will be doing a study similar to it or something along these lines, and I need you to give me a sample size to work with. Then he will give you a letter okay, based on these things, this is the sample size, and then you can eventually put it in the methodology of your article. And eventually you will need to do the statistical analysis. Again, what is a statistical analysis? So statistical analysis is basically, okay, before that I need to explain what is a p-value. P-value is basically, so p-value, p-value and statistical analysis tests if the thing you are doing, if you're doing a test or something, if it is significant or not. If your p-value is less than 0.05, which means the chance of error occurring is, or the thing not working in a particular patient, is 5%. That is considered an acceptable value usually. So that is the p-value. You will get this p-value by doing a statistical analysis. Statistical analysis tests your data based on certain parameters. There are different kinds of statistical analysis based on the type of data you're taking. Now, I don't want to delve deeper into this because it'll get really complicated, but this is the work that is done by the statistician. But the work that you need to do as an author is collect the data properly in an Excel sheet format and give it to the statistician. Then he will do the rest. But when you're preparing the protocol or the synopsis of your articles, you need to find out which test the statistician will eventually do on the type of sample or the type of data that you will be collecting. Okay. Right. The next thing is plagiarism and AI check. So you can't just copy information directly from a source into yours. You need to maybe add some fillers and write it in your own words, because if you do that, it's considered plagiarism. Most good journals check for plagiarism and AI, and that can be the reason that your article may be rejected. So, and AI, since we know that AI is amazing, it can do literally everything right now, and most people write the stuff, maybe non-academic stuff, with the help of AI. But you can't write academic research articles based on AI, because okay, it'll not be, I mean, it's unethical first of all, and it'll not be contributing in a great way. Of course, you can use AI as a tool to refine your ideas and everything, but writing a whole article is, I don't know, not a great practice. So use AI just to refine your ideas, and maybe search for maybe look for synonyms or a different word for a certain thing, but not big pieces of text. And when you, like I said, these big journals, and most of the journals now, I believe, which are indexed in good search engines, check for AI and plagiarism, and they need to be below a certain level. So how do you check for AI and plagiarism before giving it for publication? So there are good paid softwares, and I mean paid softwares, right? I need to emphasize paid softwares. There is Turnitin and there is iThenticate. I will give the links in the description. So these are expensive softwares, I know, but if your institution has access to it, then you can avail those services for free, I believe. If not, there are plenty of free plagiarism and AI checking tools online, so you can check those out too. But please do a plagiarism or AI check before giving your article for publication. That is very necessary in these times. Yep. And when you're doing a plagiarism check now, there will be certain definitions or certain ones that will catch the plagiarism ka highlight thing. You need to exclude those things, because definition would be as it is. You cannot modify a particular definition. So some practical tips that I want to give is, when you're picking a topic, pick a topic of interest and which is publishable. So you need, if you're writing an article, you're writing with the aim of getting it published, and if it's not published, then that information will not be shared, which is the main aim of writing an article. So look for a topic, look for maybe a niche topic as well, but please ensure that it is a publishable topic. Maybe do something, when you shortlisted a journal, the type of articles that are published in that journal, what is a hot topic there, and according to it you can select a good topic. The next thing you should check is for indexing and article processing fees, which I think I have mentioned. So when you've written this article, I would recommend get it approved by an experienced guide, a professor or the faculty who is well versed in that particular topic or in that particular field, because they will probably have a lot of articles published, a decent amount of articles published in that particular field, and they can guide you better. Again, the next point is refer to previous articles in that journal, how they have written, what topics are coming in. That is a very golden rule I think everyone should follow. Then you have to prepare those particular files based on the templates that are given on the website of the journal and then upload. So what next? You have uploaded an article and given it for publication. What is going to happen now? So you uploaded it, send the files to the portal or an outsourced portal, and sometimes there are these journals where you just have to email these files. Again, whatever the journal is asking, if you're shortlisted it, do what they are saying to publish. Okay, then after a particular time you will get an email. Either it will be accepted, either it will be rejected, or you will get changes. If it is rejected, okay, then take note why it is being rejected and maybe do those changes and try a different journal. If they've told, if they've I'm sorry, if they have told to do a certain number of changes, do those changes if it's possible to do those changes and then proceed, because your article might be close to getting published and you can do those changes and send it again. And the third thing is, if it's accepted, great, congratulations. If it's your first article, then you're a published author. Pay the article processing fees if there is any, and after a particular time you will be published. And another tip, now it's over, right? So the tip I have is you need to make certain profiles, not on Instagram, not on Facebook is obscure, but not on social media. I'm talking about profiles where you can display your academic work. I'm so sorry, academic work like research articles. So the profiles can be created on accounts on websites like Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and ORCID. ORCID ID is like very necessary, I believe, if you want to go into academia and stuff. Again, but do make Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and ORCID profiles. And if you have a email which is linked to your institution, then that would be amazing, because most of the times they do require it. And even if you don't have it, you can sign up with your Gmail or whatever email ID you use. But this would be great. I think I've explained most of the stuff that I wanted to. If you have any doubts, my email would be again below. I have mentioned a number of resources also in the description, and if there is any more tips that I've forgotten to give, please check the description. It would be downstairs. I think that is pretty much it. And yep, if you need any help, please feel free to reach out. And one final thing that I want to say is, this probably has given you a brief idea of how to publish and how the whole process works. But I believe research and publishing is a thing that you need to actually do, face rejection, and do a lot of trial and error and figure out certain stuff, because a lot of things are subjective and vary from journal to journal. So eventually when you start doing it, when you start writing an article and eventually give it for publication, then you get to know, okay, this is not what I've done correctly. Maybe I've not written my article correctly. Maybe I've not labeled the figures correctly. This is how the journal wants it. Eventually things will get more clear. Research is not a thing that can be explained completely in a lecture. You actually need to do it, like I said, face rejection and do a lot of trial and error. That's what I believe makes good researchers. I'm also learning, and I think I'll also mention my ResearchGate and Google Scholar profile below if you want to look how I've written those articles, and if you want to publish in that specific journal, I think it'll give you an idea. So yep, thank you.